Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, them Outlaws is here. Welcome to the show on a Monday night. It's your man, 50 Grand Kevin Barnes. I am the mouthpiece of the movement, the militant with a microphone, known in some circles as the Negro Whisperer. Welcome to Outlaw Radio. Got a bunch of stuff to talk about with y'all tonight. Not alone, as you can tell. Got an esteemed guest. Got an OG panelist, a co-host. What's popping with you, Mr. Cocktail?
Peace, man. Peace is what's popping. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to Outlaw Radio. Like Kev said, we walk that walk and we talk that talk. Raising vibrations and elevating thought. Y'all better come on in. I'm trying to tell you, I am the black woman lover, the black man's brother, the culture, teacher, hood, healer, the ghetto witch doctor, your holistic health and wellness coach, Mr. Kamar Carter. Peace to the family. I'm also the one who brings you nature's natural herbs, supplements, and vitality. You done seen it everywhere. You done seen me everywhere. If you ain't tried it, you better try it. Let me tell you. So let's get on with the show, man. What's popping?
It's popping hard tonight, man. A lot going on. I got an esteemed guest. He's no stranger to the show. He's been here several times, but I don't think he's been since we've been utilizing this format with StreamYard. So and I may be mistaken because Vince has been on a bunch of times, but my brother, tell these people who you are and what you do.
Well, Vince Tony, ex-Navy, worked in manufacturing, worked in a bunch of civil community service organizations. Right now, I'm pretty much doing a lot of volunteering and trying to stay in tune with our kids and our elders. I've ran for alderman in District 1. I've been advocating in this district for a while for change in different areas, specifically as it relates to our children, our adults, and alcohol outlets in our community, advocating against some of it. I've advocated against not necessarily the people who have been directors of the Offices of Violence Prevention, but I've advocated against what that stands for and the fact that it hasn't manifested itself. Also, I've been involved in the community. I think they're talking now about the Lincoln Hills transitioning that facility here. Well, we've had something similar to that where a bunch of people were involved in that. Bishop Daniels, David Bowen, WCS, and the delinquency, all of those were involved in our community by having a lower level type of prison, if you will, or detention center for youth at lower crimes. That hasn't worked. So we've had businesses wrapping up in our community right now. DRS is wrapping up, and probably at the end of this year, beginning of the next year, they will have successfully moved over 500 livable wage paying jobs to Menominee Falls, as did their company, Eaton Corporation, moved to Menominee Falls. And we've had
on the slick, Eaton got up out the community. They made a smooth exit. People didn't need, a lot of people still don't even know, like, what happened? That shit used to be there.
Yeah, they gone. So they've been gone for quite a few years, close to 10 years, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's sad. The DRS is leaving. They were a community partner for our annual block watch. They sponsored our annual cookouts, where we've successfully, gave out over 100 book bags full of school supplies. We've had face painters come in there, the drummers, the flippers. We had a lot of different things that were sponsored by them, and we're able to feed at that time probably close to 200 to 300 people over the last 5 to 10 years. At one point in time, we were having our block watch, our annual block watch meetings at the park in Garden Homes. But when I took over, I made a decision that it was a little bit too dangerous to be over there with all the chaos and confusion and the probability of somebody's child getting injured. I didn't want to be responsible for that. So we partnered with the Lighthouse Youth Center, and we were able to transition over there where we were able to continue to do that. So there's a lot going on. I've been involved in a lot. Like I said, I ran for alderman a couple of times, the last time in 2020, which I think, in my opinion, I would have won. However, the polling sites were reduced from 120 polling sites to 5 polling sites during the time when we had COVID. And I knew for a fact that people up north, Caucasians or whoever, weren't coming down here standing in line, one line with a bunch of people that's coughing, right? So Here I am. I evidently today we've had some action with our alderman.
Right.
He stepped down. I mean, I think he should have stepped down years ago because he's been ineffective in our area at making
So
change.
it's safe to say you're a concerned citizen, basically.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna break all the information you just laid out. We're gonna break all of that down slowly so people can digest it.
Yes. I don't know if we can break all of it down today, but we'll do I'll do the best I can because the situation with, I got a text, something on Facebook was asking about the situation with Lincoln Hills and how it's being forced on them. The story that I can tell could probably take about an hour, but it incorporates a lot of different individuals and entities and systems within our community that have failed us. And the end result of all of those systems, I've got a 12-year-old boy. I started mentoring him at 11 years old, and he's been through all of those systems. And right now he's in detention at 12 years old and facing a felony conviction. His trial will be held next month. So there's a lot of dysfunction in our community that's not being addressed.
Let's go back. Let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
Slow down. We doing 90 miles per hour. We just 7 minutes in. If y'all out there listening, share the show. That's the first thing. Share the show. Understand that there's a chat room involved. There's a number. 262-202-5131. It's Outlaw Radio live from the basement. Mondays and Wednesdays is when you can find us. And I'm about to start taking orders for Outlaw Radio apparel again because I'm back in a position to really create the Outlaw Radio t-shirts. I'm gonna start with the t-shirts and then we'll go into the hoodies and things of that nature. But so if you are out there and you're listening, you can inbox me, and I should have one in my hand, and I don't. But if you are interested, and I'll do some stuff with some promoting. You're interested in getting some Outlaw Radio gear, hit me up and let me know. We're going to be in a position to do that again. Now, so I want to start with OVP. Let's just take one bird at a time because that's the big bird in the room today. And if people are not aware. Anita Holman, who was the new director who had replaced Reggie Moore, was fired, and some say unceremoniously. Now, here's the deal. I watched the press conference. Shout out to Vaughn Mays because I was working and I had other stuff to do, so I wasn't really on the jack all day long. So he was at the press conference, so I got to watch the press conference, right? So she was removed, and apparently, and Vince, you made me aware of this. I didn't know that Ashanti Hamilton had number one stepped down as the alderman of the first district.
Yeah.
Okay. He stepped down, and this is the former Common Council president. Keep in mind, he stepped down and he's accepted. I don't know if this is an interim position or what, but he is now the director of the Office of Violence Prevention. The latest controversy, the controversy on the Office of Violence Prevention this summer has been, I guess, between Anita Holman, the former director, I want to say her name right, and the Common Council. I didn't know she was banging out with them. And so she said, and people let me know, I didn't see where her response was posted anywhere. But these reporters who were talking to Mayor Johnson were saying she said her firing was unprofessional. There were no violations on her part. You can check her personnel record. She says that that she didn't even know, she was never even warned that her position was in jeopardy. She didn't even know anything of the sort until they announced her dismissal. So I don't know what happened between these individuals. I know that there's supposedly $11 million that is coming towards the Office of Violence Prevention. I said this, I come out like, oh boy, here we go. I said that the city was trending in the wrong direction, and then she got fired the next day. Not saying I got her fired. I'm saying
you did.
You did. Yep, you did. You got her fired. Yep.
I wish I had that much power. It'd be a bunch of people with no damn jobs in Milwaukee. I'd be calling motherfuckers all day long. But no, so I mean, and when I said that, I'm looking at the crime, right? We can look at this summer that we're almost at the end of, if y'all ain't paid attention to. The domestic violence murders are up. Murder is up, right? Assault, battery, all these crimes, robbery, the Kia Boy plague and the Stolies. That's still something that the city has a very huge problem with. Thefts, things of that nature, drugs, obviously, assaults, rapes. And so all of these things are here. And here's this office that you have designated as the Office of Violence Prevention, right? So now my question is for you is this, Vince, because I know you have a lot of involvement with the Office of Violence Prevention all the way back to when Brother Reggie Moore was in charge. If Reggie Moore was still in charge and this was the trend, because it's been trending, downward since he was in office, do you think he would have gotten fired the way she did?
No, I think, and now this is my personal opinion. I think that when I heard that he resigned and put her in office, my first thought, well, why would you resign from something that you wrote the blueprint for peace for, that was supposed to deter violence and bring us together as a city? If you haven't fulfilled that promise, why would you step down? So my thing is, when they did that happened, I thought immediately, they're setting up this young lady up to get fired or whatever, because the violence was trending in a negative direction. So you're going to get out before the going gets too rough for you. So it's almost like he ran from the challenge that he created through the blueprint for peace. So for that young lady, when she got hired, I said, okay, this is going to be something here, because first of all, I've had a long history with them, phone calls not being returned because of certain things. When they first came in our community, we were designated as one of the targeted areas. So they were in our community. So one of the personnel that they had, unfortunately, he's deceased now, but he and I met because we were working on some things together, and he became one of the 414 Life. He took me up to their offices and I met them. They gave me an overview of exactly what they were doing. And some of the things they talked about was some of the things that they had seen in the store in our area, some drug transactions in the store that I've been fighting against for years. I called Reggie Moore and I left him a voice message, and I congratulated him on his new position. I congratulated him on the blueprint for peace, because I looked at the blueprint for peace. What I saw in there, I saw a plan that, if implemented, could definitely change. I wouldn't say that it's going to prevent violence, but it could change the makeup of the city if it's enforced, or they have people out there doing the job and walking the streets. But didn't get a return phone call. I have never heard from Reggie Moore. I have ideas. I've been working with children and child protective services. I've worked for homeless veterans. I've worked for a lot of different entities. I have a master's degree in social work. So I understand some of the behaviors and some of the things that are going on in our city. I'm since in the last 5 or 6 months, I've mentored 2 Kia boys. So I'm boots to the ground out here. I see exactly what's going on. And I say, everybody says it takes a community. It does take a community. It takes a village, but the village doesn't work when people don't communicate with each other. And that seems to be one of the biggest dysfunctions in our community, is that we don't want to work together. So it just hasn't happened. And I think the title with the Office of Violence Prevention, I thought there was a problem with that in the beginning, because the police department, if that were the case, would be preventing violence, and that's not the case. So I thought, possibly they should name it something different, because you're setting it up for failure to say that you're going to prevent something that you can't control.
Right. And I want to talk about the blueprint for peace. We got a caller. Ewok the Great, what's popping with you?
Oh, not much. What's going on, Vince, man? Glad to be on the show. Being articulate, letting everybody know what's going on. Man, one thing about politics, I mean, it's all a form of it no matter what you do. All the way down to gangbangers. It's all politics. And so you could go in thinking, but you end up coming out stinking. You go in with a good cause, and you trying to push this, and you trying to push that. And sometimes you limit it. They limit you. You can go in there and you standing on your square hard as you can, and they won't let you. They just won't let you move. You know what I'm saying? What do you do about that aspect of it? Because you be thinking that, man, these people ain't trying, but when they went in, they really was trying to. What about that when they just won't allow you to? And then people turn against you.
When you look at it from that perspective, when you look at the blueprint for peace, which they're said is their Bible to change the makeup Milwaukee. Well, fortunately or unfortunately, Reggie Moore was able to resign and go to the Milwaukee Medical College under the same title. So that's a institution that does research. So if we look at Arnita Holloman and her having access to research information, Reggie Moore was allowed to resign. I don't understand why she wasn't allowed to resign and somebody created a position for her somewhere. But he has the information and possibly the data that she needs to be able to do her job. So one of the things that they had a meeting last month or a month and a half ago where it should have been in the community, but it was close to downtown in one of UWM's building. Reggie Moore was there, and he gave us a statistic, a number. He says a lot of the homicides that are happening in Milwaukee are in the age group. The average age is 29 years old. However, the room was filled with people or individuals, agencies that were advocating to get money for kids that were in the age group of 11 to 20. So if we have a problem in the city, if we have some data that Reggie Moore can present, then we can start using that data to do an analysis and have some evidence-based material where we can say whether or not we're going in the right direction or we're going in the wrong direction. Because if you've got people in the room that are advocating for kids that are 15 or 12 to 20, and you're telling us that statistically that you've got evidence-based information that the average age of kids or individuals committing crimes or homicides is 29, where's the advocacy and where's the social service or the community services for those individuals to address that? So now we can address that and we can look at what we're doing. Are we getting what type of community services are this age group getting that's going to deter them from pulling the trigger?
And I think what Ernest is saying is somebody can go into a position and have real, like, good intentions and be in there doing the best that they can. But I'm hearing something that you're saying, and it's something that I also pointed out when she first took the office, is they had been operating with the Blueprint for Peace. That was supposed to have been the definitive mission statement, kind of plan for the city. And she came in and said she wanted to focus on mental health, right? And at the time, I remember saying, "Well, hold on. If they got programs in place that are implementing the Blueprint for Peace now, because it takes a different kind of personnel to do mental health."
Absolutely.
Like you have to have different types of individuals. So you need some therapists. You're going to need some people who are trained in, dealing with mentally ill people. Like back in the days, I forget what they used to call it, the mobile, the MUT team, that kind of thing. You'll need something like that employed. So I didn't know if that would necessarily match up. I hope that answered Ewok's question too, Vince. I think we both a little bit long-winded. Ewok said, "I ain't trying to talk over these motherfuckers." I said I wanted to talk about the Blueprint of Peace because I think a lot of people were not aware that there was some sort of established agenda or plan for this. It wasn't just people haphazardly walking around in the community saying peace, 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 peace. It was supposed to be a systematic approach to combating some of the issues in the community that cause violence. And I think that's why they said, okay, we'll call it the Office of Violence Prevention. And I don't think they understood the context in which it would be looked at, because people are, when you say that, people don't care about, I don't care about no stats. I don't care about no goddamn meetings, no studies. I don't care about none of that shit. All I know is they shooting all night over here in my neighborhood. And I can call downtown. I can call my alderman. I can call my county supervisor. Nobody returns my call. So then a bunch of people say, I've been calling OVP and nobody's returning my call. So then they say, okay, OVP, well, if that's what's going on, and according to Mayor Johnson, he said that she was aware of some things that were going on within the office that she knew they needed to change. And he said, now he was being very vague because he was like, she's saying she didn't get, I don't know what's in her HR file. She's saying she didn't get a written, warning or whatever. Maybe she didn't. I don't know. But she was made aware of some things that needed to change in the office. That's what he said in his press conference. So,
and he didn't say what those things were. However, this whole system is predicated upon the Blueprint for Peace. If she went in to make some changes, I think that would be an addition, because part of all of this is the shooting and killing is mental health, and is deeper than anyone could ever imagine. I mean, I've had situations where it's behaviors that has to be changed. So I've been in child protective services, Kev, and when I go into a home and I see a baby a 5 or 6-year-old with a joystick in his hand, and he's driving down Sherman Boulevard, and he's running and driving into the gas station. So this kid, and we're trying to prevent something that has perpetuated itself for decades. So you can't go in here and make these changes when we have behaviors that are conditioned to these people that they were born with and that they live with, and they continue on. So when we see the erratic driving and some of these shootings and things like that, that comes from some of the things that they get at home. When a mother, a parent is allowing that child to be sitting in front of a joystick and programming their brain to think speed and think shooting and all these other things, that's part of what we're seeing in the community. So I think her addressing the situation from a mental health perspective is certainly something that needed to be implemented along with the other factors of the Blueprint for Peace, to be able to get some data and to see how to tackle the problem. And like you said, I mean, we're both social service. I work for Child Protective Services. I work for Homeless Veteran, Milwaukee Mental Health Association. There has to be a plan, and there hasn't been. I keep hearing that we don't see what they're doing, but if there is something that you're doing, then give us some numbers, give us some information that we can say, okay, OVP, 414 Life, you're doing a phenomenal job. However, it's not really showing. So whatever you're doing, then we get the community involved and say, hey, what else do we need to do to make this change? So after 14 years of being in having this operation out here, you call a come to Jesus meeting. You say now you want the community to come together to help you determine what needs to happen in the community to change things. I was at that meeting. I wasn't impressed. And after that, they had another come to Jesus meeting where they called the clergymen to a meeting to give them some ideas of how to change things. And I'm thinking to myself, man, if the church ain't doing nothing right now, and you got to call them in to do something, then I'm like, where are we going to go if they're not already participating? And they're not. So we're in this situation because of decades of chaos and confusion and no structure in our community.
First of all, I want to tell people listening, 262-202-5131. Shout out to Ewok, man. I'm sorry, Ewok, because I really wanted him to be able to respond, and I kind of cut him off. So shout out to Ewok. If y'all want to participate in the conversation, hit us up. The chat room's on deck. Vince Tony was a longtime community resident, like he said, a social service professional, and just generally a concerned citizen who's been involved in a lot of grassroots organizing within the community. And the discussion is along what's going on with the Office of Violence Prevention. I'm just going to say this. If you've been listening to Outlaw Radio for, a minute or so, first of all, you'd be familiar with Vince if you've been listening that long. Secondly, you'd know that we had Reggie Moore on the show. And along with Reggie Moore, we had damn near the whole Office of Violence Prevention because he brought them with him, right?
Yeah.
And so now this was post-pandemic. I think Kamar, you can correct me if I'm wrong. This was when things had gotten back kind of up and running again. We were out of quarantine. Things were, people were outside, and the violence was ridiculous. And he, and as well as others, attributed the violence to the pandemic and the quarantine, right? And I didn't hear the Common Council being vocal about what was going on with OVP then and wanting to take the leadership of it and whatnot. Matter of fact, we didn't hear a whole lot from the Common Council during that whole period. It was really a really quiet time for City Hall, that whole quarantine pandemic thing. Unless they want to give you $500 tickets for being outside, at a certain time. Right. Okay. So, but so I said that all to say, it's funny to me now, and it seems like such a power play because who takes it? We're talking about Alderman Ashanti Hamilton, here's the irony for me watching this press conference, because at one point Ashanti was the golden child and the anointed one, people thought that he was the darling of the Democratic Party, and would be placed in that seat after Mayor Barrett left or whatever plan they worked out for Mayor Barrett to move around. And Cavalier or Chevy or whatever his name is, Mayor Johnson, I call him, he was just kind of biding his time, doing what he had to do, working his way in, got into an aldermanic district, and I didn't see him coming. I knew he was vocal, but I didn't see him coming. So to see the switch now where now Alderman Hamilton takes the Office of Violence Prevention. Let's talk about him. Is he going to take it back to the blueprint, or is he going to be forward thinking with some new strategies and trying some new methods that will lead to some change in the city? I don't know that he did it up to my.
Let me say this. Let me say this. I've been living in District 1 for the last 30 years. Ashante's been our alderman for 10, 15 years. I'm not exactly sure the number.
It's a minute.
He's been ineffective. We've got stores selling liquor. He's advocating continue to get their liquor license. There's continual homicide. I think everyone knows I'm talking about the hotspot on 27th and Atkinson. I've been down to the Common Council probably about 4 different times. The last time he accused me of having a personal vendetta against the guy at the hotspot because I didn't want the store to close down, Kev. I just wanted them to lose their liquor license because that's part of the problem. Right now in our area, we've had a homicide on 28th and north of Roosevelt. There was an individual that was shot right at the hotspot in front of the door. We have not seen Ashante Hamilton. I don't even know where he is. I've talked to people and they say, is he still our alderman? What is he doing? So he's been ineffective. We bumped heads in our community because I have is that he came to, I was block watch lead. Ashante came to our meeting and at a time we had planned on going down to the hotspot and advocating against their liquor license. He came to our block watch meeting. That was the first time in probably 10, 15 years that I had seen him come to our meeting. And he was holding hands with the store owner, asking us to give him a chance. We gave him a chance. So I'm not sure what he's going to do and what changes he's going to make. Maybe he's friendly with these store owners where he can, implement something where they can get people away, this, that, and the other. But I can't understand what he's going to do. What needs to be done, I think, first and foremost, is that they need to account for the monies that they've already spent. Where did it go? Who got it? And what was the plan that they were trying to implement? So therefore, we've got $11 million that's going, the federal dollars or whatever money is going to be going to the Office of Violence Prevention. We need an accountability of what's going to happen with that money. Who's going to get it? If we say that we need mental health services, well, we need people who have skills in mental health. We need licensed therapists. We need people that are going to do the job and not the same individuals that I've seen in child protective services who are ineffective. And we've got a lot of kids that are dysfunctional now in the streets that came through those systems. So what are they different than the current systems that are in place that's going to make a difference? That's what he needs to tell us. What is his new, is he going to use the blueprint for peace, or does he have a new blueprint that he's going to use? We need to know, and we need to know where the money is going to go. Cavalier should order an audit of the last 14 years that they've been in operation. How much money have they gotten? Where exactly has every dollar gone? I mean, if we look at corporate America, they have to every penny. Business, I mean, where's the money going? Who got it? What worked? What didn't work? So we can make the adjustments or the necessary changes to make things better. Obviously, they're not getting better in this city because, I mean, all of the elders that I talk to and some of the kids and that mothers won't allow their kids to come outside. So what are we going to do to turn this around? And we need to know accountability.
And so I guess the way we would like kind of place this conversation and what we would ask for, it's already kind of like demonstrated that we won't get it, because I know for a fact that myself and a lot of other people for years have been just saying, can we get some transparency? Can we get some transparency? Can we let us know? You keep telling us we're supposed to be doing what we're supposed to be doing in our community. We don't know what you're doing, right? You keep telling us what we're supposed to be doing. Well, we need a community supporters. We need you to help. Okay, help you with what? Right? Now, I will say this. I don't want to see this $11 million being spent on book bag giveaways. You look, it's MPS enrollment is down, right? It's too many goddamn book bags and pencils and papers, right? I'm sorry. I gotta be the curmudgeon of the community, right? Because I do not believe in wasting resources. There has to be more, and I don't want to see your average run-of-the-mill social service programs. We want to see innovative uses of this money. Caller, you are live on Outlaw Radio. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm from Milwaukee. My name is Stephanie. I just want to say hello. Thank y'all for having this conversation. I appreciate it. So what's the next move? We voting Chevy out because he's moving too fast.
He's moving too fast. Why is he moving too fast?
Well, what purpose did he have for firing that black lady? She got a lawsuit. How can he just come in and take over a position like the man said? This man been in business 13, 14 years, and we don't see none of it. If we see him, Malay Cars, and all these other people that got these big names and they coming down to the ghetto, getting the potholes up, getting these abandoned buildings up. The liquor store at the hot spot, I agree with that man. They ain't doing nothing but paying these people to stay the fuck out their business.
Right.
I'm tired of it too. It's a nonsense, and we having all this stuff going on in our community. These people don't even live in Wisconsin, do they? We need people from our neighborhood work in our neighborhood.
So when we say, well, let's be clear with the question, because first of all, the mayor only has 2 years, right? So he got to get on his good foot. He got to make something happen, because he knows in 2 years he's gonna have to do this whole re-election dance. But I would say, is he moving too fast or not fast enough? Because what's too fast in the city where everything for black people is underwater? Like, you know what I'm saying?
So why would you take that black lady out of her position? She only been there 14 months. Y'all ain't even give her the opportunity to present a better probable cause for our positions. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does, because they ain't telling us nothing, right? Like, they're not saying, and like her response, when I heard her response earlier today, in that, look, this was done unprofessionally. It was done, but when I was given no warning, I did not know.
No write-up, no nothing.
Right. So I was surprised at that. And when those reporters threw that question at the mayor, he kind of stumbled and staggered and said, look.
No reason for it.
Right. So
it was brought to my attention, though, because I hang around Spo here. So who was the mayor for him?
Barrett.
Barrett. Yeah, Bad News
Barrett.
Yeah,
so Barrett hired her. So I guess that's why they fired her, because
no, actually, yeah, but people say Barrett Johnson was Barrett's boy. That's what everybody kept saying when he was running. Like, oh no, he's just Barrett light. He's gonna do whatever Barrett or whoever was with Barrett. That's gonna be the same old same.
No, if you give a nigga an inch, he gonna run a marathon.
That's a hell of a way to put it. I don't know. We all gotta wait and see. We gotta watch this play out, because is this sister gonna sue? I don't know. I guess I ain't hooked with the right people, because I don't get what her response has been. And even in my Facebook group, the People's News Network, which is like the sister group for this show, I don't see her response.
She responded today, Kev, and they've got it on the news. They've gotten, I'll have to send it to you, but she also submitted a written response. I didn't read it, but it's along the same lines that she wasn't really given an opportunity. No one communicated with her. She just got a phone call, and then evidently it wasn't from the mayor, and said, "You done." So, right. And the mayor can do that because that position is appointed. So I don't know if she has grounds for legal action. That's to be determined. But the end result is that, we've got a situation where we've got one person was allowed to work the system and nothing changed, but he was allowed to resign. She replaced him in the system that he created. And I don't know the intricate details, but evidently it wasn't enough to appease the mayor and his constituents behind the scenes, and they got rid of her. So now here we are with this alderman who had gotten on the reason. It's a long story, because part of it is Ashante Hamilton had gotten on Mayor Barrett's bad side, and Mayor Barrett got rid of him. Basically,
right.
You're no longer the common council president, right. And now you go to your side, and Cavalier's my boy now, and he's the deciding vote in everything that I say. So if I say something, Cavalier got my back, because
I got a new nigga. We got us a new nigga. Now, Stephanie, I want to ask you this as a black woman. Do you think her being a sister had anything to do with it?
That question could go either way. They don't. I believe that she was qualified for her position because she wouldn't have got it in the first place. Second of all, they didn't give her the opportunity to fulfill her position. She wasn't there long enough. third enough. I feel like the man, Ashanti Hamilton already had enough bad blood. He can't keep coming to, you know what I'm saying? He needs to stop somewhere. Obviously, he wasn't doing his job. He'd been out here 14 years, and we still haven't reaped none of the benefits from the last team he was with. So why would we keep picking up 30 teams?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they've, I guess for lack of a better word, the good old boy network. So they're all connected. And I saw him last summer in my neighborhood. And for what happened between Barrett and Ashanti Hamilton, they were over at Garden Homes Park talking about revitalizing some homes and stuff. And I can only say it one way.
Garden Homes area messed up too. The kid boys won't stay off that timeline.
Yeah.
Garden Homes
and
is Garden Homes not targeted for some money? I thought that
they were targeted for the 414 life and violence prevention and all that stuff. We were the target neighborhood for that. So when I questioned and nothing was happening, we didn't have anything that changed. I was at the couple. The 414 Life booth, I saw them. They were, three guys sitting there. They spoke. They didn't get up. One of the young ladies got up, and I saw one lady scamper off. But the one lady came to me and she introduced herself, gave me her business card, and say this, that, and the other. Well, I called her, I texted her, I left her voice messages, and as of today, just like Reggie Moore and other people that I've tried to connect with, they don't call back. So I've got information that they could utilize to do what they need to do. And we are one of the targeted neighborhoods. So why aren't you working with the people that are in the neighborhood? I represent the Coalition for Hope Block Watch. All of my members are elders. They're asking me questions, and they're giving me some solutions of what they think, and I can't get any leverage. I call the alderman's office. I call their office. I can't get nobody on the phone.
Nobody.
But they're saying they're targeting
Kevin Haywood. I even called Kevin Haywood to see if he was gonna answer the phone. He ain't answering.
Well, his name is Kalen, because I don't want him confused with Kevin, because I'm Kevin.
Yeah.
Look, my name already dirty enough, right? Like I don't need nobody, no extra help. But my sister, I want to thank you for calling in and supporting the show. You got anything else you want to kind of throw out there? Anything else you want to say about this?
No, not at the moment. Thank you for your time.
Well, hey, make sure you call back. If something else come up, make sure you call back in and let us know. Because the one thing about this is the community. I feel like everybody's involved in this except for the community. Mm-hmm. The people who live in the neighborhoods, the people who actually know what's going on. It's like all these decisions are being made over our heads.
Without us. Right.
And nobody.
But it's like he said, we calling down there. Everybody calling. And it ain't nobody answering. So it's like, how do we get these people that's supposed to be working for us even in their office or on the street? Right. Where are they at? Because they're not in the office and they're not on the street. Where they at?
They're on the street, but they are sitting down at a booth at a table somewhere. I thought they should call it the office of put up a tent.
Y'all be good.
All right, my sister. Thank you, man. Peace and love. Hey, Rail, what's popping with you, bro?
What's happening, man? This car took longer than I thought. I had to get this car running for my lady to get the kids to school tomorrow, since I got to go into the office. Man, I got to get these books cracking, man, so I can quit this job.
Right, black people always guys is like, man, I had to put a muffler on my car right quick, man. I would be in here earlier. My alternator went out. How come alternators on black people cars go out so much? Black people be like, my alternator went out. That's what's always wrong with.
And the crazy thing is, this was just the battery, man. But the way they put it in, like, it's a Volkswagen Beetle. Like, I don't mess with Volkswagen like that. I'm a Chevy or Lac dude, but my lady wanted a Beetle, and then she got a Beetle with a stick, so I had to teach her how to drive a stick. But yeah, it's all, it's running now. It's running for sure, man. I'm glad to be here.
Shout out to that sister Stephanie. If you out there and you want to get in on the conversation, shout out to Ewalk 262-202-5131. Outlaw Radio, live from the basement. Myself, Kevin Barnes, the witch doctor, the hood hippie himself, huge heifer, and Vince Tony, who is basically, I'm going to elevate you, Vince, from concerned citizen to community advocate, community advocate, right? Because you have been at the forefront. Like, you've gone to these meetings. You're involved in this process because you're a homeowner in your neighborhood, and see, you do a lot of stuff. Like, I see Vince gets the pickers, the garbage pickers, and hands them out to people, and goes and picks up trash off the streets. You know, Vince goes and checks on elderly people and takes them food and does their yard, gets their yard, makes sure that's done. And so Vince is a neighborhood, like, real, like, so if you see him on here and you like, why is that dude on here? And because I want somebody from the community who is, upperly mobile out there, right? And so so we're talking about the OVP and the whole kind of calamity of that and what that's turned out to be. I think that the violence in Milwaukee is made up of a bunch of different issues. There's a bunch of different systems that don't work, right? So
MPS.
all of them play a part. So if you're not going to have in this office, okay, to say the Office of Violence Prevention means that there's a representative from each one of those systems in that building, and they work unilaterally and collaboratively to solve problems in the community. Meaning, I have the Department of Neighborhood Services to address the streets, the potholes, and where's rubbish and is empty vacant lots. I have a representative from MPS to say, hey, we're here to make sure that the schools in the community are in line with whatever the movement is. And I'm gonna go out on a limb to even say maybe you should have some sort of religious representative. If you have someone from the nation, someone from the Baptist church, someone from the Kojic church that represent the religious aspect of it. And Kamar looking at me like, don't start. If you want spirituality, like that person, you'll have somebody in there too who says no, non-traditional Kemetic religion. I don't want Rail and Kamar to get to whooping my ass with this, because every time I start talking about church, they get to getting at me about it.
Hey, it's all good, man.
And you got to do the health, right, Kamar? You got to have somebody in there to represent health care in the community. Then there's a mental health representative. Y'all see where I'm going? Like, if you don't have this office.
And Kevin, you're absolutely right. And I think to give Ms. Holloman some credit, everything that you just said, she said that she didn't have access to that.
Okay.
So if that's not being set up to fail, you know what I mean? Like in the beginning, I said that when she took that position, the where it was going was nowhere, and Reggie Moore resigned. So, and if she can't get the resources, she's a psychology major, right? So she's not a dumb woman. She's a very bright young lady. And she said, these guys, everything that you just mentioned, she said that she didn't have those resources. So how can you do the job if you don't have the resources? And she was asking for them and she couldn't get it. Did she get blocked because they knew what they wanted to do to put Ashante up there? You know, we don't know what goes behind the scenes. I know it's nasty because I've seen it happen in my community with the hotspot and how nasty they can be. And how they can go back in that back room and make these decisions that's not in our best interest. So that's the problem.
And every neighborhood has a hotspot. Every neighborhood has a store that is just kind of like the epicenter of chaos and confusion, from the selling of the loosies to trading food stamps for liquor. I know back in the days when I had my boots on the ground, it was the legal lean and the K2 that was being distributed by a lot of these gas stations. And these are more often than not Arab-owned gas stations, right? And they're in our communities, and they don't live in our community.
Absolutely not.
The stake that they place in the community is not very deep. I always felt like all of these stores should be forced to do like community resource fairs in the summer, where you do a block party, where if I got this liquor store, this gas stations, and we all in this community, then we should be walking around to each one of them saying, hey, it's time to hat up. We about to do the children's fest this summer or something. We'll get the streets blocked off, get us a stage, build, like they say, do some face paint, some hot dogs, give away some food vouchers, get people some high blood pressure testing, whatever it is, whatever, what have you, and just inundate the community with resources. And they should have to kick in some bread to do so. There's no requirement for them to do that. Children are going to Marquette and UW-Madison. They're living in Cedarburg and Mequon. They living in the wild counties, but they selling us cigarettes, malt liquor, which, I'm not necessarily coming down on liquor store owners. Y'all know I have a qualify for liquor stores.
Yeah, here's an example. I was down at the Common Council, and Ashanti Hamilton told the members of the license committee that I had a personal vendetta against the guy from the hotspot. And I told the Common Council, and I told him as well, it's not a personal vendetta. I just have a problem with you poisoning my people, and you live in Franklin. That's my problem. However, here's what we can do. You talked about the quick picks, right, Kev?
I didn't bring. Yeah. The quick pick.
So I went down because of what Ashanti said that I have a personal vendetta. I have a personal vendetta against nobody. But here's the thing. I went down to the hotspot. I say, hey, here's what we can do. This is one of the nastiest storefronts in the city. Here's some quick picks. Clean it up. I have to give them credit. The hotspot is one of the cleanest stores in the hood. Now, I told the owner, I said, hey, we can agree to some things. This is something that we can work on because it benefits the community. But at the end of the day, if your liquor license comes up for renewal, I'm still 10 toes down there on your butt because you're poisoning my people. Meaning that this is something that we can work on, but it's non-negotiable with the liquor because of what's going on in that area. Now, the problem that I had is that when I met with 414 Life, they said they had been in the store and they had seen some exchanges. Well, here was my perfect opportunity to steal that liquor license. I called Reggie Moore wanting him to get his people that had seen this in that store to come down to the licensing hearing. Say that don't get a phone call. So here was a perfect opportunity. We're not trying to stop this man from selling food in our community, but we could have snatched his liquor license because he was doing some illegal activities that they witnessed. I can't get a phone call. I can't get representation down in front of the Common Council to say, hey, look what we've done. Look what we've seen. Vince Tony and his neighbors are right. This is going on, and this dude does not need a liquor license, period. So that's how they can help us.
Okay. And so I've also heard you touch on mentoring, and we've talked about on the show the need for young Black males to receive mentorship and be able. Somebody needs to pour positivity back into the young Black males, and we also had talked about this new prison. I don't want to say prison, corrections facility. This correctional facility for youth, and closing Lincoln Hills and really bringing those kids back down by the community. Now, I'll say I'd like to see them do this for the adult prisons as well, because why are we making northern Wisconsin, where there's coincidentally no dairy cows anymore, like people think, and a lot of those towns depend on the prison. That prison drives their economy for the region. So let's start bringing some of those brothers down closer into facilities, building facilities closer to the city too, and let our people get those jobs and let us work that angle. But I want to get on Black males, young Black males, because we talk about young Black males on here all the time. Now we do have this facility coming, but when you look around, Vince, and I'm not trying to put your age out there, but you OG, right? You OG, right?
Yeah.
You look at young Black males today, coming from how you came through the ranks and into manhood, masculinity. What's your observation about the young Black males today? Before we even go any further, what's your observation of what's going on with young Black males?
I think having been through the systems, meaning Child Protective Services and mentoring through Running Rebels, I've been in a lot of homes and I've seen a lot of families and I've seen a lot of dysfunction. It goes way back, Kev. It just didn't start today. It started a long time ago. And with the man out of the house, the crack cocaine, it all perpetuated into what we see today. So we've been victims of systemic racism, if you will, or systemically being set up into their systems, and we've bought into them, which has created a dysfunction within our family. We've got women raising boys. They can't. Kev, I wouldn't be the man I am. My mother couldn't have done the job that has been done on me if I didn't have my uncles and my cousins who were men. They are still my role models. Even some of them are dead. We don't have that a lot of that in the community. I said at one point that if you can put one of me in every neighborhood, then we can be rocking, because I take care of the women, the kids. I take their sons to the golf course. When I was married, my wife would take the kids, the girls, to do girl stuff, and they remember that. It's a solid foundation. We don't have a solid foundation of men in this city that are willing to go boots to the ground, and it doesn't take a lot, Kev. So what do you like? I love golf, right? I take kids when I go golfing. What's wrong with taking a kid with me? I love bike riding. What's wrong with taking a kid bike riding? That's what my uncles and everyone else did for us. So if we're giving back, we allow these kids to, and these boys specifically, because we're to be able to have an avenue to become a man. So here's an example. I'm working at or volunteering at a youth center, Maroof, and I was talking to the teenagers, and I said, well, they were out passing out flyers, collecting some data, and trying to get people to come to their food drive. And I said, what we can do is we can put this on a spreadsheet, and we can do some analysis, and we can say who went to where and did this and the other. And the guy said, well, I don't know anything about an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document. We're talking 14 and 15-year-olds. And the boy asked me, why don't we know this? So we have to now look at our school system, the dysfunction that's coming out of there. I've been in the school systems, Kev. It's like, man, if I had a kid that was school age, they would not be going up in some of those schools, including what I saw at the Bishop Daniels school that he had. I don't know if they have it anymore, but I've been in a lot of these schools, and it's a lot of dysfunction. And it's not the teacher's fault. We also need to pay the teacher. So if we're sending all these dysfunctional kids to this school system, and the teacher is spending majority of their time on behavioral issues, we're not learning anything. I got an 8-year-old boy that I'm mentoring right now. Can't tell you what 6 times 6 is, boss.
Now, you see these, because a lot of us in the Black community, and we've said this on the show a million times, myself, Kamara, and my brother Rail, like, badass kids that need their ass whooped. When we see them fighting at State Fair, when we see them, people now don't want them in their establishments to do business. And we did the other night, I kind of ran it around the panel, and everybody on the show who's Black, who has a business, saying, look, I wouldn't want these kids in my business either. Right. Like, so, and then we even got so in tune with it that we talked about private owned prisons. Right. If there were private owned prisons, would it be smart for a Black person to say, I'm going to invest in that? And morally, are we looking at like some kind of what they call it, some kind of conflict? If you say, well, I'm for my people and I love my people, but I'm about to buy 50 stocks in this private prison, and it's gonna be a bunch of Black dudes, because Braille said, well, they going anyways, so why not? So what do you think about like this new prison that's coming, right? That they're gonna build, what I said, prison again, correctional facility for youth that they're going to build, right? Like, so
well, let's not say build, Kevin.
To buy stocks in it, would you buy stocks in it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
From what I've seen in my experience, and hey, man, and blame the children, but the blame is not on the kids, because we also have to look at maybe 5 or 6 decades of teenage pregnancy. So all of these factors plays into what we see today, the dysfunction, because we've got, a 13-year-old has a baby, and then 15 years old, she have another baby by another man, then 20 years old. And, but at some point in time, that's how you got that money too, right? So systemically, we were trained in our brain, hey, let's go out here and get us like 3 or 4 baby daddies. We ain't got to work to get that money, right?
Then put the kids on medical.
Yeah, I mean, we had people coming from Illinois, Detroit, and was double dipping in our system because it was lucrative, right? So it doesn't change until they turned off the switch, and I think they said, well, you guys gonna have to do some work for this money. So now things have changed. It's not as much money, but we still have that dysfunctional behavior that hasn't changed.
Right.
I've seen in our systems where in child protective services, I've seen kids being dumbed down to meaning that they've been diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and the mother have dumbed them down where she can get that money. That's $600-700 a month. So there's a lot of things that they've done in our community that's created this dysfunction that it's going to take as many years as it took for us to get here. it's going to take boots to the ground to make the changes, and it's going to be gradual. So Office of Violence Prevention, you gave yourself the wrong name, because this stuff is going to peak before it goes down because of the behaviors that are in our community, and that's not changing until the office or whatever you do. What you have to do, Kevin, you got to be boots to the ground, and you got to get behind those doors. Here's one thing that the Office of Violence Prevention can do. They can set up a fucking tent at Walmart and say, hey, don't talk to your kids like that. Don't do your kid like that. He ain't no motherfucker. He ain't this, that, or the other. So where do we start fixing the dysfunction that's in these families, where these parents, when we're talking about boys, and you tell, I got a boy right now that he's facing a felony conviction for causing harm to his mother, and he's 12 friggin' years old. So this is the kind of dysfunction that we have in our community that's not being addressed.
I hear a lot of these super smart Negroes, because there's a lot of smart Negroes in Milwaukee.
Yeah,
a lot of very well-spoken, articulate Negroes who are in frats and sororities and can step and clap and dance and do all kinds of things. They're wonderful individuals. And I hear them propose many different things for our children. I even hear people telling black men, hey, black man, you're traumatized. Go to jail. Go to therapy. Hey, black man, you've been beaten down. Get some therapy. Have a conversation with somebody. But I rarely hear anybody saying, hey, black family, here's an opportunity to get family therapy, where somebody can come in and sit their children, the mom, the dad, whoever, down and say, okay, let's talk. We're going to create a safe space for everybody to talk about what's going on here. They'll say, Dad, you having a problem with your anger. You need to go to therapy, right? Don't nobody ever say, I'm a little off too, because all of us got different daddies. So I'm just saying, I ain't looking. I know goddamn bad, ain't none of his business. You're right. I'm just saying, sometimes you point at somebody telling them they crazy, you actually the one who's special, right? Like, so
I'm special,
right? Well, I don't know if I don't have anybody that I'm cool with that's not. I'd like to think we all off a little bit. I know I am. I flunk all kinds of tests. They never let my ass go. I would never pass the evaluation.
Kevin, you know you're brilliant. Be quiet.
So, but I'm just saying, like, there's an attitude that, okay, the Marcus Garvey thing, let's just trim the fat and leave the trash behind. The ones who going to jail, let their ass go. You don't want no education? Get your ass out. Don't worry about school. No, don't fuck it. Don't worry about it. All right, go ahead. Do what you do. Turn up. Right?
Yeah.
I want to sell drugs. I want to shoot. I want to be out here with my strap. Okay, get caught. Football number. You ain't coming home. Truth in sentencing. Oh, you going there? I'm a pastor now. I work with kids. I wrote a coloring book. Yeah, well, you got 30 more years to do. So you.
Hey, Kev, that's a great idea. And I think with one of the systems that they put in place in my neighborhood, I'd have to name David Bowen, Bishop Daniels, WCS, and a bunch of other people that put together. One thing that I've learned about our system of government and people that we have in Washington, and think about it, Kev, and the rest of us, is that we can get bipartisanship when it comes to institutionalizing men and our boys. So we can get the Republicans to say, yeah, we'll give them a Lincoln Hills. And what they've done is through a bill that David Bowen sponsored, I might get the numbers or the letters wrong, AB 793, which allows them to house kids in our community. They did it over on, 34th or 35th in Hampton. They created that facility. Yeah. We told them that we didn't want that in our community. I went out and there were people that living in Bishop Daniels' building. I said, hey, they hadn't even heard about them putting these kids there. So to your point, Kevin, and don't quote my numbers because I don't have the paper in front of me, but it was like $3.5 million to house 24 kids for a period of time. I suggested, why do we keep throwing bad money, good money at these kids? Why don't we take that money and invest in X amount of kids' college educations? And the part of the contract is when you're done with college, you come back here and you volunteer. You serve the community about 5 years because you got a free education. So, right, what you're saying, hey, separate them. Why do we keep throwing all of this money at them when we should be throwing this money at these kids that are doing well, that they can have an education? That's a lot of money that these kids can go to college. They can come back here And you think about it, every year we get 15, 20 kids every year, and we're sending to college, and we're paying for it out of this money that we're paying for criminals and housing them. Give it to them, they come back and they do their due diligence. And what more beautiful of a way to take care of our young people that are actually striving to do something positive.
I agree. Kamar, what would you have if say Anita, say the sister called you and said, Brother Kamar, they on my ass over here. They trying to fire me, and I want to bring in something new for the OVP. What would you tell her to do for the community?
I'm gonna give her Vince number first. and I'm gonna tell you why though. Because remember when I told you about when the news pulled up on me and asked me a couple questions about, you know what I mean, with how I think the chief is doing. What I said was they need to get with some people in the community who really got a hold on the community, who got, you know what I'm saying, who can feel the pulse of the community and can really talk to them and tell them what the community need. How should we move some of this money around? Which organizations are really putting in some work and doing work and getting results? You know what I mean? Because there's certain organizations that we can put some money to and they could do a lot better in the community. So like I said, I would direct them to certain people who I know, you know what I'm saying, got a pulse on the community and know what's happening.
Okay. Shout out to Tiarsha Arthur.
And that's and that right there, my bad, but that right there is the communication that we talking about that needs to be had with the community. You know what I mean? With somebody and the leaders of the community.
Okay. I just want, like I say, because I think people have so many great ideas. This seems like the one thing that I don't want Mayor Johnson to do is to fumble his mayorship by involving himself in cronyism. And I don't think a lot of Black people here realize how much cronyism plays into Black organizations here. Mm-hmm. And like people who have positions, some people will call them Black gatekeepers. So what this means is you're in a sorority or a frat, or you're a Mason, or you're in some sort of group. And the only people that you even consider for positions is the people that you know, the people that's in your crew, right? Milwaukee totally suffers from not hiring from a diverse pool of people and candidates. You're only, you think with tunnel vision, like, first of all, to understand the scope of what's needed for the Office of Violence Prevention. That's why I said, is this for Alderman Hamilton or former Alder Hamilton or whatever he was? Is this an interim position? Because I think the leader of this office should have a bunch of different kinds of qualifications.
Exactly.
I think this individual needs to be skilled in so many different things, not just another retread or also ran. And I'm not, I've met with Ashanti before. We had a deep conversation. We had a great conversation. I was very clear in what I feel like, you know, he should be, you know, I should be moving in the community. He explained to me his position, and we didn't end up, oh, fuck you, nigga. Oh, fuck you, dog. It was this conversation, and I let him know how I felt. But I just feel like this should have been somebody who was really, really, really dynamic.
That would be me, Kev.
Say what?
That would be me. I've been in the military for 4 years. I lived overseas for 6-7 years. I came back here. I dropped out of school. I went back and got a GED. I went back to school, got a business degree. I went back and got a master's in social services. So I've got a well-rounded background, but I wouldn't, if they were to ask me to take that position, first of all, I would get together a bunch of people like Kamar said and say, hey, what's the real name that we should name this organization? Because we're not going to be preventing a whole heck of a lot of that crime. What can we do that will make a positive impact on people's thinking, and then start incorporating the entire community, that people that really want to be boots to the ground? If you don't, and I'm a no nonsense kind of guy, if you're not going to do the fucking work, you got to go. I'm sorry. If it's not happening, I don't see numbers. Every organization that I give a dime to, if you're not presenting something to me, it's got a spreadsheet or whatever you got to do. If it don't make sense, if it's not working, if you don't have a plan to change it, to make it work, you're not getting no more money. And so that's my job on the line. I don't know if I want to be at that macro of a level. I'm more of a micro managing type of guy. But what I bring to the table, like you're saying, is a well-rounded individual. Find that person. It's not Ashante Hamilton. He's not well-rounded. He's been in my community. He hasn't done anything. We haven't seen that person, that man. I don't know where he is. I know he's on TV today, but before today, I didn't know where the man was.
Yeah, I was like, he's still here. I thought he moved. I was like, yo, he still live here? Like, listen, I agree with you, Vince. I think you would have been a great candidate, but where we differ a little bit is that I think you could call it the Office of Violence Prevention if that was your mission. If your mission is to bring, like I said, the right resources together that would combat racism and have them all under the same roof, I think you could call it that. But I don't think you can call it that if you only got a portion of it working over here that really addresses violence, and then a portion over here that's doing something else that's policy that keeps the money going, which is basically writing lovely flowing narratives to send to funders to say this is what we're doing. This water didn't get hot until people who gonna be responsible for signing some of them checks said, okay, so what y'all doing? Show us what you're doing. So like you said, I thought it was very important about the spreadsheet, because I've spoken a lot of times about what we need to understand now is that this is a different world. And if you're going to manage, you have to have a data person. You have to have a data department. And you have to teach your employees or your people who are in your program how to utilize that data. Back in the days, whenever St. Charles, whatever I worked for, MPS, they'd have somebody to come in, right? One day, oh, we got a training, we got snacks, we got food. You come in like everybody got to be in the auditorium. And you go in there and you sit down, you get your donut and shit. And they talk about, they show you a bunch of statistics. They say, I'm so-and-so and so. I'm from the Department of Information and Data for MPS. Here's the statistics. They show them to you. They show them to you. They show them to you. By the third, fourth, fifth slide, you like, man, I don't know what none of that shit means. So when they get done and they say we need to improve here, or according to this, we're doing very well, and everybody stand up and clap, and they go about their business, right? Nowadays, the way social services moving is you got to learn how to, as even a mid-level manager, you got to be able to take that data and utilize it in managing your department, right?
Absolutely.
Like, so if we're gonna have real data people, since we utilizing statistics and whatnot, here's UWM, who does probably one of the largest urban studies in the country yearly, and you can take that data and say, okay, according to this, these are our top 4 priorities. Now, what went into this data? And you teach managers how to manage their departments based on that data, because you got to produce. So the next time when we go and sit down with the Common Council and they say, we're just looking for evidence of return and you can put your little flow chart up there. You put your little statistics up. According to this, 15% of that community, which we like Rel and I were talking one time, and I said, look, it would be so cool if you could go into a funders meeting and say, listen, the program that we designed for, let's just say literacy. Okay. We established this program 3 years ago. We put this much into it. Here's what we've done. Here's the statistics that tell you what the results were. Either people are more literate or they're not. Right. If they're not, we either changing what we're doing or your ass got to go. It's the same as in the office. I said maybe they should go and take a poll of what crimes they're combating. So if domestic violence is up in this district, then let's put more domestic violence support and resources out there into that community. And then at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, we'll say, were our programs effective? Because we just went out and talked to those families and they said either it's gone away or it's worse. And that's how you judge yourself, not based on what I had wanted to do was nobody cares about.
And Kevin, I got a call this past weekend from a young lady. She aged out of foster care and she wants to go to college. She calls me this weekend. I mean, most of the families that I've dealt with, the kids, some of them still have my number. And she calls and say, Vince, I want to go to college, but they're asking me for this piece of information. I wasn't with my mother. I was in foster care. So I need verification that I was in foster care. So I said that to say this. In all of these institutions and social services organizations that we have, one of the problems that they have is lack of data, because at a certain age, 18 years old, you aged out. We can't get no money for you. You out of my program. I'm going to the next. excuses.
17.
And they don't have the information that they need to. She said, well, I went and called the Child Protective Services and said, gave them a situation. They told me exactly what she has to do, and I give her the information. She can call them and she can get in school. But that's something that we can look at, where every social service organization in this community for the last 50 years should have data. And it should say, I've had 50 or 100 or 1,000 kids that come through my program, and here's where they are at today. So now I can adjust accordingly. If I got 50 of these boys in prison and 2 of them in college, well, I need to go talk to these 50, and I need to know what we did wrong in our programming, where our numbers are skewed to that side, the prison side, and not to the college or what do you call it? Just the job side, where people just want to do HVAC or whatever they want to do.
Sometimes that data will give you that answer, because you can break it down and say, this kid came from this home, or who were in this situation succeeded at a lower rate than the kids who are over here. So let's pay attention to what we're doing over there, where we're failing at, instead of jumping up and down talking about how cool we are because of the shit we did right. Like, we get excited, babe. That's the whole phrase about Milwaukee. People say, you from Milwaukee, you worry about the wrong shit. He comes from that life of what kids and young adults in white Wisconsin have been going through for years. And DJ Toxic T. I shout out to DJ Toxic T, man. He actually made us some theme music. I had a great interview with him. It's dope too. I gotta get with Ghetto to put a visual over, but it's dope. I'm trying to tell you, it's dope. It's dope. Y'all will love it when y'all hear it. He said, I live in Oshkosh now, and there's a growing population of people of color, and they're experiencing systematic racism that is often worse and exists in the areas in which they move. What's sad is there are no organizations in place to help or to assist that portion of the community. Well, absolutely. Yeah, you run off.
Man, there's black folk in Oshkosh.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Okay, that's cool, I guess. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't hear about it.
Hey, you go up there if you want to.
Right. You know,
yeah, I ain't.
That's why I was laughing. I'm laughing at DC Crowley talking about, build affordable housing in Kenosha or
Wauwatosa. Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
don't want me in Wauwatosa.
They're gonna put a letter. They're gonna give a letter to all the neighbors. Hey, it's a new nigga in the neighborhood.
Time to go. That's gonna be all black in 2 years. White people will hit it. But you know, here's the thing. If you in your mind as a person of color think I know what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go integrate Waukesha. You're a special individual, right? Like, or you're a glutton for punishment, because you're about to get your head bashed in before you even see a crack of daylight. Those are just traditionally white places. It would take us to move there in mass. Like, it would take like 15,000, 20,000 of us to move there within the next year for it to even, and that's just to start, because to get organizations and places set up there for them.
Yeah, you're trying to start a war.
Right?
And it seemed like we got one coming. So, hey, don't push it.
We talked about this state being 86% white, right? Like, really, the 12, I think it's 8 to 12% black, and 85% of that population lives in southeastern Wisconsin. So when you start moving north, you can't go east, really. When you start going north or west in this state, it ain't about no black people or no people of color or no diversity or none of that good shit nowhere.
Man, they still have rallies up north. Like, right. you ain't got to go far to bump into a real live rally up north. Like,
yeah,
you might see a burning cross and shit. Just from...
what you say? Well, you might run into a sundown town.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, man.
Yeah. So if you're in Oshkosh, I can see,
good
man.
Luck. I wish you the best in Oshkosh.
And don't get me wrong. For some people, that might be what they need. I guess if they say, "Well, I don't care."
That's fly.
If I just need to get away from this here. For me, that ain't gonna work, because I don't really do the "fuck you, nigger" and run off. After about 50 times, I'm tired of that shit. Like, hold on, man. Have me a slingshot or something. I'm gonna tap the shit out your ass while you trying to run in your car. And so, even in this evolved state that we live in now, in which we say we don't let certain things that white people do get us riled up. But when you put yourself in a position like that, where it's their like established area, it's hell to take to the captain, and they'll push your buttons. They'll push that line on your ass all the way to you in your room with the door locked. Yeah. So shout out to all black people.
Hey, when we look at it and we look at what's going on in this country, we got half the people in this country don't like us, and they got a leader now. So it might get cracking and popping, and I don't want to be up there by myself. I'm staying right here where I know I got some little bit of help anyway, even if you don't.
Most of the brothers that stay up that way, man, I'm gonna tell you, a lot of them be running from something in their own city. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, the police, they snitching. It's always something foul about them brothers, man. I used to go back and forth up there to Green Bay, so I ran into a lot of them and met a bunch of them. You know what I mean? They go up there, they go get the fattest, stinkingest white woman they can find. God damn. You know what I'm saying? I ain't bullshit, man. You're bullshitting. You see them. You go to the grocery store, you see the family.
It's that trail that go from Chicago through Racine, Sheboygan, all the way up to Minnesota and shit. Like they live on that drug pipeline.
Yeah.
The crack line, right?
Right.
Moving along.
They used to. I'm gonna tell you, they used to call it something like that too, man. When I
called
the case and I was going through sentencing, and I remember the judge telling me, man, he said, "I'm so sick of you guys using I-43 as your traffic pipeline or some shit like that." You know what I mean? It wasn't those words, but it was in that. You know what I mean? The way he put it.
Right.
Oh shit!
You just said interracial dating back 50 years. He said this spanking this white girl.
God,
police ain't gonna even look for you then. Like he couldn't be doing shit. Right?
Yeah, he doing us a favor,
right?
Taking our undesirables.
No, that's always been the thing though. That we learned in the 90s with if you was in the game and trying to move and groove, it was always hit the highway, because you all packed up in the ghetto, and it's like chasing cars and trying to run for a 10 here and there. Brothers say, man, I need to go somewhere where I can, make a move. So I moved to this little white town with this white girl, and there's a factory there, and all the crackheads work in the factory. So I just serve all the crackheads on a Friday night when they get paid, and then head back to Milwaukee with the bread. Until Master Johnson them got hip to that shit and was like, oh no, we got you darkies. Just look for a fat white girl. I bet you there's crack around. Shout out to all the brothers with fat white girls, man. We love y'all.
I ain't said love.
I didn't sign up for this stuff, right? But I did want to ask you this, Vince, because I keep hearing, and we live in this kind of Kevin Samuels era where, and Kevin Samuels, what's crazy is he left a large impact. He had a very large impact on our community.
That's a powerful brother, man.
He left a serious kind of thing, and where black men now, I feel like, not that we weren't, ever critical of black women, but I feel like black men now have a whole different kind of perspective on how they talk about black women in regards to their role and what's going on in our communities. And I hear a lot of brothers just putting it on single mothers. The one thing you're going to hear over and over when you say, and Rick Muhammad has been on here a million times, and you say 80% of the black households in Milwaukee are led by single women. This is why the community is failing. I've heard people say black women have let the community down because it's under their leadership that the children ended up this way. I've heard all of these theories. And so I said, wait a minute. Are we right now? And I know I'm quoting Tupac, because I remember he said pretty soon we'll have a race of babies that hate the ladies that make the babies. He said that in 1991, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. But I hear a lot of dudes now that say they ain't gay, that don't present as gay, but you actually don't like women.
Man,
I mean, they go hard. I be hearing brothers like,
and then call their male friends little baby, my babies and shit. Like, I don't know. I guess that's just the generation. Like, maybe that's just their generation. I don't know, but I feel what you're saying. Like even the music is saying catch a body, so kill a black dude, fuck a black woman, but don't trust her. And then go back and kill for my mans and them. So it shows you that brothers are capable of love. They know how to love. They know how to be willing to kill for somebody or die for somebody. It's just now it's their friend that they call him baby instead of they lady and they actual babies.
But we have an issue. Like, there's a lot of contempt for sisters, and I don't know if it's jealousy or insecurity on the part of the black man.
I think that part is resentment more so.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because Kev, you know how we talked about in the rap with the rap music, the music we listen to, bitch this, bitch that. But the reason why we said we used to feel like that is because, you know what I mean? It's like when you ain't having no money, the girls want the dudes with the money, so you can't get no play. So now when you having money and you the big rapper out here, and you know what I mean, it's all fuck that bitch. She ain't want me then. I ain't fucking with her now. Fuck her. Fuck the bitch. Fuck yeah.
You know what? And real talk, fam.
Resentment, man.
Right, and you know what? Real shit. I had to catch myself from dealing with that, and it wasn't even shit. I guess transparent moment. It wasn't even the women. Like when I got into college and the first time I lost weight, I went from like 310 to like 240, and motherfuckers was coming out the woodworks, and in the back of my mind, it's like, where was these bitches at 50 pounds ago? You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't them. It was me. It was how I carried myself because of how I felt about myself. And when I felt better about myself, I exuded better energy that was attractive. But it's easy to kind of get jaded by the attention that now I got some money and bitches want me, or now I lost some weight, so it takes, man, that's why I'll be out here preaching emotional intelligence, shadow work, all that shit, man, because it's needed, especially when we've been through the shit we've been through.
Hey, so and then to take that circle of resentment even farther, you look at the music today where the women running the game in the music pretty much. And you hear the shit they talking about. So they like, fuck you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Fuck y'all too. All that, you know what I mean? So it's resentment, man. And we just evolving into more hate for each other with this shit.
Right, it's like, oh, we ain't nothing but hoes and tricks. Okay, fuck you, pay me type shit. So now we at odds with each other, and the record labels is getting paid off the music and then getting paid for owning stock in the privatized prisons that they have their artists glorified criminal lifestyles for to fill up and shit.
Right.
Well, sound like a hell of a business plan to me.
It's Vince, brilliant. It's evil. It's diabolical as fuck, but it's brilliant, man.
I want Vince. You deal with a lot of single mothers. You're mentoring in the community. What do you think about this whole thing? How much of this is black women's fault?
Damn.
I know systemically, when you look at it and you look at us as a people and everything that's happened to men and women, I don't know if you can blame one or the other more,
right?
Because we're equally, my son was born and another man was on his birth certificate. Well, when I found out it was 99 point whatever, he came and lived with me. So he was tainted. He came to me with a 1 point or a 0.000. So I had to work on that. Do I blame his mother, or do I blame the fact that the man wasn't around? It is hard to determine, but some of the ignorance that's in our community, and for example, I've got an 8-year-old that I'm mentoring right now, which is turning out to be a good situation. The dad got a little jealous that I was mentoring him, so he's starting to call him a little more, and he's hanging out with them. And now it's my opportunity to mentor the father and the son once the father gets up his gonads to come meet with me. So I can't blame either one or the other. Each situation is different. I will say that there's a lot of dysfunction in our community, that a lot of our women have been taken advantage of mentally, physically, sexually, and otherwise. And that's a huge problem. in terms of what they think about men having as children. There's a lot of dysfunction in our community. A lot of our women have been sexually assaulted by a man or someone in their family, and they never recover from that stuff. And if it's not addressed, how can we blame her because of her tragedy and that no one's addressed? So back again to Office of Violence Prevention, where are those resources, the therapists and the people that can go in these homes? I mean, because I can get these females, and I have gotten them to open up to me. Like, Kevin, there's a lot of females out there that's been sexually assaulted at a young age by a man, and sometimes by a female. And if it's not that, they've been beaten shit out, or there's a lot of different things that go into it. So I can't blame one or the other, but I do say that it's all systemic, and it's caused from how these systems put our families together with the man out of the house introducing the crack cocaine and now putting him and the kids on ADHD medication. There's just so many different criterias that fall into place that put us where we are right now. And to dig ourselves out of this, man, we have to start loving each other, and men and women are going to have to get involved. And at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about our children and our elders. How do we make them have a quality of life that's worth living? Right now, I've got neighbors down the street. The elders won't come outside. I've got neighbors, got 3 kids, 3 boys. They won't let them outside. So how do we open this community back up to where we can start creating the life that we used to have? And I blame part of it on systemically. I look at, Howard Fuller and I went to the same high school together. I think that a big part of what we've done is we've moved community and family out of neighborhoods. I walked to school, North Division. I walked to Robert Fulton, and I walked to my grade school. And so did the kids down the street. We all knew each other.
Right.
So now I got to get a kid that up in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that's just like work, and they get home, they tired, and they really haven't learned anything. So we've torn apart our community. I was at a meeting a few months ago with Howard Fuller and was Aisha Carr and the 30th Street Corridor, and they were talking about the Hmong and how they were building community. The Hmong is doing the community-based schools, meaning that everything is accessible, and there is culturally driven. We've got culture in our schools. We're building a high school, but we're going to build a grade school and a junior high school next to it because we're building culture. So they've taken our culture away, and we've become this dysfunctional people within these families. Now imagine, when I grew up, I mean, I knew everybody from around the block, and it was a family. But this busing system, not only the buses polluting the air, but our kids and our families are separated. We're no longer a village. They've taken the village concept away from us. So we've become a dysfunctional people.
Sharon Evans said, "Word, Vince." She also said that fat white girl at the Piggly Wiggly when we were talking about. Well, Kamar said that. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
I didn't say none of it.
Kamar said y'all be having some big old fat stack of white girls.
No, man. I said that's what brothers go get. That's what they go running and go get.
I know.
But for real,
I stay trying to start some shit.
I went to Morris, and now Morris is a Hmong school.
It's Hopper.
And then 2 blocks away, they got Hmong Town, it used to be Coles when I went to Morris, but now it's a Hmong grocery store. So I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, again, it goes back to even with our music, we being taught to fear and mistrust each other in our community, whereas other people move as a community. And even when it comes to politics, they can address the politicians as a community and have the whole backing of the community. Yeah. So that's exactly right.
And here's a perfect scenario.
I feel like all y'all just created an elephant in the room. I feel like all of y'all, because okay, we could talk about the Latino community and their solidarity and what they do, because they do the same things where they're right. Because they still have a hold on their culture for the most part in their solidarity. And what the Hmongs are doing is very impressive. What you're talking about is because Morris was the first school that I ever taught school at, right. So I remember when it was Morris. And it's not a Hmong American Peace Academy. And it's really, and you're right, there is that Pacific produce And they have a thriving community in this area where that's all at. But nobody's stepping in to disrupt their solidarity. Now, the coincidence that you find with Latino men and Hmong men is that they still are the centerpieces of their communities.
Mm-hmm.
They still run their households. They are still respected. The man of the house is still the man of the house. He's respected. He's not watered down. He's not told that his masculinity is toxic. He's not told how he should or shouldn't, what lessons he should tell the boys versus the girls. They have traditional norms, and some of them are a little slanted. Some of them would be what a lot of white families would say, that's misogynistic, that's male chauvinistic. There's things that women are supposed to do in the hierarchy, and there's things that men are supposed to do, right? And they're still effective. And I gotta say, now we look at the black community and say, oh damn,
well,
ours ain't like that. Look at the black male in our community, what he stands for, what he represents, how he's compromised, how people don't want to hear what we gotta say. You walk up, the stuff you talking, which we know on this show, is nothing but jewels that you dropping.
There's
a lot of people in our community that won't even respect your position as an elder to accept what you're giving them.
Right. You know, like you was talking about us, like black men, like we hold values in the wrong places. So how somebody else gonna value us right? You know what I mean? Right. If I'm running around here valuing these true religion genes, you know what I mean? Who gonna follow me on that?
Right. And just like you said,
you know what I mean. But if I'm standing on shit, pushing this black family thing, and you know what I mean, making and you know, you dig what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a bit
I get what you're saying, but my only counter to that, Kamara, is that a lot of those dudes, a lot of those fathers in those families in those communities are more dysfunctional than we are. They kick ass and take cash. They don't play no games. They run their house with an iron fist. A lot of the women that they'll be holding their face and just no, I didn't. Did he hit you? No.
Well, you know, that's, you know what I mean, we all got fucked up parts about us, but you know what I mean. We talking about focusing on this good shit, on how they hold together.
No. I'm using that to say they're not, but they don't get ostracized like we do for our faults. Like, so everything we got wrong with us is like, oh, you ain't shit. That's why black men ain't shit. For whatever our flaws are for them, they women still be like, shit, he didn't hear from me. Don't get that motherfucker mad. I don't want him to come in here. Like, so it seems like everybody else's women respect them more than black women respect us.
I think on their side, though, they haven't experienced like the economic castration that black men experience. So, like, even if they going upside their lady head, they still whipping that food truck and she ain't got to work, you know, like, and the thing is, even with them, they have generations under one roof, so they also get the additional support of having the grandparents, you know, shit like that in the household. So now that older woman can say, "No, baby, you was tripping," and he went upside your head, but he still came home. He still take care of the bills. You know, stuff like that. So they have, just like you said, they have a solid foundation of not only their culture, but also generations in a household. Like with all of our dysfunction, shit, you know, two motherfuckers. Like I've seen houses where two couples tried to cohabitate and somebody ended up fucking somebody else's man or some shit like that.
Well, this is why
it's a lot of trauma we have to heal up before we can even solidify and try to move like that.
This is why your boy got in trouble a few weeks ago. I'm gonna try to do his voice. He said, "What we're doing is we're celebrating black women for being masculine." I'm trying to do TDJ. TDJ. I would run from that dude if he was like, "Hey, young man," and I was a kid. I'd run like, like.
Then he got that lisp. He got that deep ass voice with that lisp.
It's too deep. I'm gone. Pastor, I'm gone. Where you going? Away from me.
Hey man, you know what's crazy? Hey man, it's crazy. Like how we can have some fun like this about them, but like I'm gonna tell you, man, and y'all know I ain't the religious person, right? And this was during the time when I was coming out of religion. TD Jakes got me through a dark period in my life, dog.
Yeah, he be spending some
while I was
shit,
in
man.
prison. You know what I'm saying? I started opening my eyes to more shit. And he wasn't talking nothing about God or Jesus or nothing, you know what I mean? It was just about life. You know what I mean? I always say, man, you know what I mean? Don't pay attention to the messenger, just get the message.
I'm only making fun of
and we all got fucked up parts about us.
I'm only making fun of his voice. I'm really agreeing with what he said, and I was doing all that to say. He got in trouble a few weeks ago by saying we at black men or our community, they give women. We're not raising women anymore. We're not raising black women. We don't congratulate females for being black women, for being feminine. Like they get credit for be strong and you don't need no man and you self-reliant and you self-sufficient, and that's how they give each other credit, as opposed to saying, no, girl, you know, you got to be a woman. You still have to. And I think in their cultures, it's still like, nah, you got to be a woman, even if some of them are independent, which they are. But they know, and they'll tell you if you talk to them, like in my community, you know, a woman can't do this or a woman can't say, and you be like, still in 2022, they be like, hell yeah, look, you fuck around, get hit. Like, no. So I just feel like black men get just dissed and mistreated. Like I feel like even those of us who are good, like we just get shitted on by our own people. Like think about it. In the black community, it's not cool to be a square. It's not hip to be a square. It's not hip to be that dude that's going to class, getting his work done and all that. The gangster ass dude with the strap and the dope and the money, that's who all the girls want. So it's like they ain't saying, girl, he gonna be an architect one day. That's gonna be my baby. They'd be like, fuck him. Look at this square ass girl. Look at him with them big ass glasses on. Like, all right, you know, it's just, I just feel like we're screwed up.
This conversation go both ways though.
It could go, yeah, it can go a million different ways. It could.
I hate to be that motherfucker to always say, but you can say the same for women, but really like this conversation, man, you know what I mean? It go both ways, and that's just talking about this whole circle of hurt and resentment that we got that I was just talking about earlier.
Shout out to Sharon Evans. She says she get what I'm saying. Kamar, you are that dude though. Especially if it's black women on the line. Kamar gonna come, so hold on, though, Kev. It could be the other way, couldn't it? I'd be like, yeah, goddamn, Kamar, yeah, it could be.
I mean, we got to be real about it. You know what I mean? If we're going to talk about it, we got to talk about the whole picture.
Yeah, I just...
We all fucked up. Otherwise, it seems like one side bashing the other side.
I feel like
one side blaming the other side, I mean.
I still feel like black men are more accepting of black women's issues than they are of ours. I feel like most black men are going, if he love you, if he care about you, he gonna try to rock in there. Sisters now is different. It's a whole different breed of woman out here. Like motherfucker, now you got to have pre-qualifiers now. Like, especially if she got a little something. She got a long list. Like, girl, I done went and got my MBA. And he need to have this. He can't be short. He can't be tall. He can't be fat. He can't be skinny. He can't be light. He can't be dark. I'm like, you want a translucent motherfucker? I don't know who you want to go with. Like, just get your ass over there and be invisible till I need you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I feel like we relegated to like living sex toys. Not me, because I don't have that issue with my wife. But I'm saying I feel like a lot of men in general in our community, I think we are undervalued. I think because now, especially since you got the rise of lesbianism and you got the rise of studs who will be out here and be like, girl, you don't need that motherfucker. I'll take care of you. I got a 20-inch dildo at the house. Like, I can't match up with that shit. I'm like, I'm good.
And I started with a lawnmower cord.
Right. Yeah. Motorized and shit. I can't do all that. Lights and laser shows and shit. So I feel like it's unfair for black men.
He got his own stereo system and shit.
Right. Like, where's the music coming from? Oh man, I don't have Wi-Fi on my shit, right? Like it's not a Bluetooth. It's not a Bluetooth, man. I'm just saying. Who's this? Is this Facebook user? My cousin is a stud, and women be living their best lives with her. Yeah, I mean, that's the way a lot of women feel. I don't really think that's your best life, though. Unless you're a lesbian woman, I guess. But if you're a woman that you with a woman, first of all, here's the thing that confuses me. You're a female who doesn't like men, but you go get with a woman who looks like a man. You don't like men, but you get with a woman who has a fake penis. It seems like to me you should just get with a man. Like, I'm call me confused. I don't know.
I'm not gonna speak for all of them, but when I was out here, a lot of the films used to talk to me, and I used to joke about it, saying it's because I had long hair and I'm chubby, so I kind of weaned them back to dick. But but they all used to say the same thing. Yeah, I'm with this woman now, but I know eventually I want to get married and have children with a man. And it'd be like, damn, why are you wasting this girl time? And most of the ones that I talked to, real talk, they either were scared of men because they got fucked over by a man, or they just needed a friend, and this person was a friend. And just like a lot of them do with men, they feel kind of obligated. Well, they listen to me and let me cry on their shoulder, let me give them some pussy. So they got to the point where it was like they
hold on, Rail. Hold on.
Yeah.
Listen. I will tell you, first of all, shout out to Sharon Evans. You're right. We set standards. I'll tell you this. If you my boy, right, and you sitting with me through some of the tougher times of my life, and you feel like you sat with me, you helped me get through it, I am not obligated to give you right. Like
no,
so I want you to try to I've been here for you, brother. I've been here with you the whole time.
Mentality though, but a lot of them that I've experienced ever since Young Dro said my girl got a girlfriend, it gave a lot of these women a license to get head or bread from whoever willing to give it. And some of them be opportunistic. Hey, shit, I know I don't like bitches, but she paying me and she eating my pussy. So it allows them to play both sides for opportunity. But a lot of the ones I talked to, they knew they liked men. They knew that they weren't gonna have a future with this woman, but she was kind of like a spot holder until they got brave enough to hop in the man pool again, type shit.
All that's that new age shit. It ain't
these the 106 and Park girls,
super complicated.
Like these the ones that grew up on 106 and Park, so they're about 20. Right. No, they probably about 30 on down now.
Little Bow Wow fan.
right.
Archer said I was called a square when I was a teenager because I wasn't skipping school, and my dad had me taking music lessons to keep me away from the clowns. His word. That wasn't doing anything in the neighborhood, meaning the ones that was always skipping. Yeah, I mean, as a daddy, yeah, you want to put something on it. I just got to be Courtney. She said it's different for women. I think all I can see is a Facebook user, so I'm not getting your name. I'll have to look at let me look at my phone. I probably can get the name because sometimes StreamYard. It's Courtney. Okay. Yeah. So she said, stop speaking from a man's point of view. I'm gonna tell you why I'm speaking from a man's point of view. 35 and down is the age group. She said this is why I'm speaking from a man's point of view, because those communities that I named, the Hmong community and the Asian community, when that man is talking and he's talking about his perspective, do you think his woman standing there handing him some shit back? Every time he say something, but the women do too. But what about women? No. He said you should try it out. I told you so. Right. It's his house, right? Like so black women is the ones who got every time you say, yeah, but black men do too. Like, damn, dog, we talking about us. Why you got to keep referencing? That's you're deferring, right? Like you're blocking. You're in defense. So yeah, I'm people say Kev on some bullshit tonight. It is. I might be. Sometimes I ain't gonna lie. Like
but you own it. It's all good.
Men always be like, I don't know how women get raped. All they had to do was this and that. I would never say that. Now I'm a barbarian, but I'm not that barbaric. Rape notwithstanding. I'm talking about the back and forth. Because when a black man starts talking about what he goes through in this country, black women immediately start talking about what they go through. It's time for you to just be quiet and listen sometimes. You ain't got to say something all the time, but what about me? We ain't talking about you. We talking about me. Right? You need to know when to be quiet. Not all women. I know my wife will slap the hell out of me.
They about to Kevin Samuels you, man. Somebody about to try to put roots on you.
Well, she's saying you never understand life as a woman and you can't be trying. No, I don't. You know what? I don't want to. I'm glad I'm not a woman. I'm actually gonna. Please. I couldn't be a woman. There's no way I'd lose my mind. With all the stuff they go through, even it wouldn't be no kids. We're not doing that. If I was a woman, now that's what I say. You deserve to be treated a certain way, because you're a woman. But don't try to make it seem like it makes being a black man any less difficult and complicated. And for us as black men, it's on a whole other level. We talking about somewhere you got a systemic thing against me that was put on my great granddaddy. And even to the point where they would let you through because the white man like you. He'd let you in the house and screw you and give me a debarge and make me raise it. So when you start talking about what you go through, I'm just saying, hold on. Like, okay, I hear you, baby, but we talking about some man shit, right? Like, I just feel like it's not respected for black men enough. T. Arthur said 85.5% of the time Kev be on bullshit. I ain't gonna do it.
Hey, Kev, here's one thing is, having lived outside of the country and having grown up being sheltered from a lot of the shit that men go through in this country, it's a rude awakening coming back here because when I lived outside of this country, I was just a man. When I first came back here, I was getting married. And I told my wife at the time I didn't have a degree. I didn't have anything. I said, in order for a black man to work, in order for me to make the kind of money that I make in where I was living, which was in Guam, I got to go back to school. I got to go do this. I got to do all of these things. It's a tremendous amount of pressure coming back here because we have to deal with so much stuff. And I understand Malcolm and Miles Davis when they went to France and they come back here and you have to deal with, I didn't deal with racism over there. I didn't deal with somebody hating me. And to be a man and to a man of color and not have to deal with that and to come back here. I used to think that all young black men should spend 2 years in the military. My focus has changed. I think all of us should spend 2 or 3 years out of this country so you can understand what it just feels like just to be a fucking man. It feels so fucking good. When you come back to this country, man, it is so fucking painful. I mean,
I feel good being a black man. I feel good to be a man. I
do, but it's a different thing to be outside of to come back here. One of the first things that I thought about, have no idea when it came from. When I came back here driving down the street, the first thing that came to my mind, damn, I hope I don't get stopped by no police officer. Subliminally, the message had already been sent that you're gonna get fucked up if you stop by a police officer. And that's just coming back here and not even having ever thought about it, but just watching the news and seeing stuff go on here. It's like you go into a whole different another level of being less than a man, if you will.
Right.
But you're a man.
Right. Sharon Evans said they were screwing black men too. Right. I hear that, right?
It was butt
breaking going on, right. But okay, so Vince, you just hit my point. And I'm glad because there is that for the black man that I, as a black man, have to be aware of when I drive certain places. Just my appearance, not without them knowing me or where I'm from or anything. Just me. Oh, there go a nigga. There go a black man. I got to be aware of this because if I let my guard down, I become a victim. Black women don't always have to go through that. They don't have that built-in kind of thing. There is some there. Of course, they deal with certain things. It's not the same kind of built-in angst that they have for for black women. As a matter of fact, a lot of times they are more tolerant of black women than they are of us. Like they'll hire a sister in certain positions because they feel like she'll be okay. As far as brothers go, they don't want me to come in there and twist up my face in the morning. I come in there, oh shit, Kevin's mad. Kevin ain't even thinking about your ass, right? Like, oh, you okay, Mr. Barnes? Yeah, why everybody keep asking me that? You look angry. I ain't doing shit. Like that's the built-in thing with us. If I'm in a meeting and it get a little heated, and I say, but Bill, hold on. Well, Kevin, just calm down. Okay, don't get angry. What are you talking about, man? I'm at work. Right. I'm just gonna bust out the straps and go to smoking motherfucker. Wu-Tang, bitch. What do you think I'm Now, I do understand that black women get treated a lot of times because they say she's angry, but the white man will call himself really clipping her sometimes. He'll say something to her to let her know. And he feels safer doing that to her than he do with my big black ass. Because he what? Because I don't win meetings and I already knew some shit was amiss when I walked in and said, why security here? Why security here? Because they about to lay me off. Like, I'm not, you don't need why you the sister. I noticed her cubicle gone. I ain't seen her with no security. They told her she left. Now when I go in the office, this is security telling me, can we talk to you? What the fuck is he here for? Right. Look, we just want to make sure everything's okay and we want everybody to be safe. Like, what the fuck, man? So sisters they gotta admit that that's there, right? But I feel like everybody they take too much time kicking the black man for that and saying, well, nobody care about your shit. Don't nobody care about your shit. And the Hmong dudes don't got to go through that. The Latino men don't got to go through that. They be up in there speaking their own language. Hector, all we're saying, Hector. Nobody ain't got no security in nothing, man. So,
hey, Kevin, I mean, corporate America broke me, man.
Okay.
That racism, they messed me up, boss. I'm like, man, where all this shit come from? I ain't done nothing. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? I don't even know. It's some weird shit. I had to get out of it, man. It's like it'll fucking kill you. I mean,
compare the number of black female CEOs here in Milwaukee of anything to black male CEOs.
Shit, managers, supervisors, like shit. Like I didn't want to think that shit was real until I tried to get out the warehouses. Like what I found in Wisconsin, they hire me quick to work in a warehouse. But if I wanted to be in the office, like I had to go back to school for computers to get out of warehouses. But even then, like even where I am now, like the reason I left the department I was in is because, man, I kept applying for, like they was cool having me at the entry level. I kept applying for other shit higher than that because they was giving me projects where I was helping those departments out. But they would never give me the elevation to where I'm like, dog, just pay me for what y'all got me doing. Y'all got me in this entry-level position, but Darrell, you're on a new project now. We need you to do this, or Darrell, we need you to mentor these people. I'm mentoring motherfuckers that's coming in the door making more than me. You know, so I really didn't want to believe that shit until I lived it. Like that corporate world, it will make you angry, man, because it's like, dude, I know I'm more qualified than all the motherfuckers they willing to elevate, but you know, people tell me I look angry when I'm not smiling. I never noticed that, but you know, maybe that's what the corporate world was getting. I don't know, but it's true. Like they don't mind you working in their warehouse, but it's hard to get in that office unless you are deemed safe. Or
I don't like I'm not trying to be Kevin Samuels because I don't believe in his school of thought. Like I don't have a problem with women. Like what I was saying, there's some brothers out here who you ain't gay, but you don't like women. Like you gotta maybe it's something you and your mama, some issue you had with your mama. You found granny was a hoe or something, or you found, maybe you found out, mama used to turn up back in the days or something. I don't know. Maybe you walked in on mama turning up with a couple dudes. I don't know what you're scarred for.
I grew up with dudes who mama stole their crack. You know what I'm saying? So we dealing with shit like that. I don't have
any of those issues. So when I speak about it, I speak about the dynamics of our relationship. I speak about them from an honest perspective. I understand that black women have some issues that they face. Come on, man. Like you had to be an idiot to not know that. But I still don't think nobody, no race, no cultural, no man of no race or culture has to deal with what black men have to deal with in America. And it's just there. And we just eat it up every day and go about our business. The reality of it is when you leave the house in the morning, you don't know if you're coming back home. And it could be from one of your own or it could be from one of them. A simple traffic stop turning to my black ass getting murdered over nothing. And now I'm waiting on somebody to say it happened to black women too. Who has the higher percentage? Who does it happen to more often? First of all, the initial stop, the genesis of it is black, what they call it, black while driving. Yep, black dude driving down the street.
Driving while black,
drive around something like that, right? So I'm not trying to. I don't want black women to listen to the show to be like he's not feeling our struggle or he don't understand. I'm just saying, at what point do you just be quiet and listen? At what point, as our women, do they say maybe we got to take some pages out of those other cultures' books and make sure our men are at the forefront of, because brothers usually don't leave home, they get put out, right? Like they usually like, man, I can't stay around this motherfucker crazy, man. Hell, I ain't gonna put up with this shit. I am up, right? Like, so And usually she owned everything, so you the one, now you the renter. And she got the crib, like, I don't need him. She gonna bring some other little dude in, right? You know, that's when we start becoming pieces on the utility belt. She got one to move stuff, one to buy stuff, one to come handle that thing, one to come work on the car. You know, one who kind of smart. So when she, should I sue or not? Well, let me call my friend. She got his ass too, right? Like somebody who want to take her out to eat, somebody who she want to take out to eat. She just break you up into pieces, right? And just you pick and choose. I'm saying too much. Women are pissed at me. They probably done hung up and ain't listening to the show ever again. It's okay. But Vince, man, I'm glad you came, man.
Anytime, Kev.
I know it's getting late, man. I'm glad you got to come back because, like you said, that conversation about some of the stuff with the blueprint for peace. I like to go into the specifics of it and talk about the details and what it involves and what is this going to be what they utilize moving forward, or are they in the process? We talking about the Office of Violence Prevention. Are they in the process of coming up with a new one or making some improvements? So I don't know. So we got to have you back. Kamar, what you got coming up this week? Because summer coming to an end, and I know that don't stop your hustle, but what you got coming up?
Sure don't. Tomorrow I'll be at Alice's Garden. Thursday I'll be at what's the name of this thing? Oh man, I gotta look at the flyer again. But I'm trying to be in two places at one time. I'm trying to be at Alice's Garden and this other spot, man. The lady called me from the Black Chamber of Commerce and asked me if I could come do something somewhere.
Oh, that's dope.
On 2nd Street. But yeah, I'm gonna do that Thursday, and then Friday I'll be at one of the outposts. I'm not exactly sure just yet. And then Saturday I'll be back at the Fondy Market.
Okay. Real, what's up with the books? Tell the people how they can get your books.
You can go to Amazon.com to get 12 steps to becoming your own dope, so you can learn this shadow work and emotional intelligence, so that we can, self-evaluate and elevate, so that we can be the men that rebuild our communities. But first, we gotta learn how to fucking deal with our emotions so that we can properly lead, man. You know, so I got that book. I'm still on TikTok breaking down just different knowledges on emotional intelligence and trying to help people understand that you can still be Christian and be empowered through meditation and herbal medicines and aromatherapy and things like that. Is nothing demonic about healing yourself.
Okay. Now, Vince, we got to get you in some kind of office. We got to get you somewhere. We got to get you. If Ashanti's stepping down, this might be your time, right? Like this might be the time for you to go in there and get that position. If he's resigned.
I don't know, Kev. Right now, I'm undecided because the one thing that I wanted was him out of office, and that happens. I ran because I wanted to get him out of office. He's out of office. If someone comes up that can do the job, that's perfectly fine with me. So I can't say right now, but that mission has been accomplished. So hopefully, whether it be myself or the next person that comes in there, I'm hoping that person, if it's not me, would be willing to work with the community about the things that we've talked about and bringing all of us together to make a difference in this district.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like I said, I got to get you back because we have a theory on here about racial maturity and cultural maturity. And I said, racially, I feel like we need to grow up a little bit more. I feel like as a race, we still behave like a proverbial child. We still don't know who we are. We don't know our name. We can't walk. We can't talk without somebody helping us. We can't run without somebody helping us. We can't do anything without some help from somebody else. So, and then we get concerned and preoccupied and distracted by the wrong shit. So I feel like racially, we need to grow up. And some of that involves getting over some things and letting go of certain things, which some people would identify as traumas, triggers, whatever, what have you. Some of that stuff we just latch on to, like you said, it's a subconscious thing. Like how much power are we giving to white people versus how much they're actually taking from us, right? And where you sit at on that spectrum. So I got a million different, Vince, we chop it up all the time. We got to get you back so we can talk about these kinds of things, man. It had been a while since you've been on. I'm like I said, I'm glad you came on to rock with us, man. I want everybody to know. Shout out to Tiasha Arthur. I wanted to read her comments. She said, "You're speaking facts, real. at a position as a purchase order assistant, and then they had me doing payroll, bookkeeping, and shipping, all for one pay. And instead of giving me one of the positions available, they hired somebody with no skills and wanted me to train that person who came in making more money than me. It was super great. Yeah,
it's wild, man.
Yeah. It goes crazy, man. The things we got to do in this country to make $1, man. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say do something strange for a little piece of change. I mean, everybody has an opinion, man, and you're entitled to it. I want you to know if you feel like you agree with me or disagree with me, you're free to call in and comment on the show. Share the show.
I think that, we talk about, we got these black leaders in positions of authority now. It's up to them to hobnob it with those individuals that are in positions to make those differences, and not just go to the table to fundraise to get some money to get back into office. Make a difference when you're sitting at that table with these guys. What are you going to do for us? We have to be more selfish about ourselves and put them in a position to say, hey, we're definitely going to hire more blacks for this position. But at the same time, at the county level, they have to start paying us and hiring us too. So they're just as fault. And we need to put pressure on the leadership in this city, those who are in office that ain't doing shit for black people.
You're right. And I hear the county talking about racism and discrimination is a health issue. Well, no shit, Sherlock. We've known that for a very long time. Right? It's one thing for you to have DEI training and talk about all of this diversity you want to see, but you never change your hiring practices. We know that a large percentage of most administrative positions held in the county and the city are held by white people who don't even live in this city no more. You're playing with the wrong person, man. You got to do that. You got to do that with somebody who don't know, right? Because when you tell me that type of shit, I just give you now Kevin is mad. So you say, oh, Kevin's mad. Just like Kevin is mad, right?
Security.
Right. Somebody call security, right? So yeah, man, this is what we do on Outlaw Radio. I hope you heard something that, man, enlightened you, entertained you, or informed you. One of those things. That's all I'm looking for. We do this for a cause, not an applause. So that means I'm not really worried about 500,000-600,000 people tuning into what we do, because it's important that you get a core of people that are informed and you move forward and you build your momentum up, and then you have a movement. I don't want nobody with me for the wrong reason. That's why I always tell the truth about my opinions on the show, because I don't want you loving me for the wrong thing, right? I want you to hate me for the right reason, right? I don't like that motherfucker because just make sure it's some shit I actually do, right? Don't blame nothing on me, right? So, because the Lord knows I do enough, right? So, man, thank y'all for tuning in, man. I'm like I said, man, y'all have a great night, man. We'll be back Wednesday. Vince, you got an open invitation either way it goes, so you can come back whenever you want.
You always end with the coon saying, what's that?
I'm flying into that. I'm flying. I'm landing the plane. Rail is doing this. Rail is doing this.
Right. Get it, boss.
Be on the runway, like, come on, bring it home, kid.
Bring it home, boss.
That's my favorite part of the show, man.
Right. So no, man. And so Vince, you got an open invitation, man. You come on when you want to. All the sisters that was listening, if I said some bullshit, I'm probably about to hear about it when I talk to my wife in a few minutes, and then y'all can give it to me more on the next show. Right. It's really just about knowing who you are, man, and not forgetting where we come from and what's important, and knowing where we stand at. So when we look at this Office of Violence Prevention, even though it's been broken down and it's being reassembled, I think we as a people should take more in the reorganization of it. We should hold more people accountable. We should be asking for more transparency and more clarity. And if they fired this sister unjustifiably, then their asses need to be punished for it, right? And they need to be called out for it, right? So absolutely. All of that goes without saying, man. And you have to know either you with us or you against us, right? You got to know that, because if you sitting around and your criticism of our community outweighs your contribution to it, in the words of my mama, you a black ass coon. I see y'all Wednesday night, man. Peace and love.